everybody. This is Dr. Lori Shemek.
And I'm Omar Cumberbatch. You're listening to This Podcast Burns Fat. Hey, Lori, how are you today?
Hi, Omar. I'm doing wonderful. Thank you. I'm glad you're back from vacation.
Yeah, no, it was great. Always a good time in Mexico.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was definitely a fun time, refreshing, relaxing. And I know that I promise I won't get into it heavy with you, but I think it's appropriate because you're into Game of Thrones now. And we had a nice 20-minute conversation. And we won't go crazy, but you're I'm curious. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it once you finish.
Yeah, I know, especially the ending.
Yes.
I will definitely report back.
Yeah, and I know.
Lori here is a late bloomer when it comes to Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So I'm just catching up for all you old hats at it.
Well, yeah, I know that relates to a lot of the audience, so they're going to really appreciate your feedback on it. But anyway, let's get back into the health stuff. I won't go crazy. And we have a wonderful guest today, and Angelica Ventrice.
Oh, she's wonderful. She really is. You know, I love how real she is and how, she really helps change the health of many, many people, particularly women, but men as well. And she is the founder of Fit for Life Transformation Program. And, she coaches women in mindset, nutrition, and fitness. And she teaches people how to change their mindset so that they can change their life, which I love. And, she's not about crazy diets. She's not about that at all. She's about being just very optimizing in terms of helping people.
Yeah, no, very much in line in what we believe in as well as weight loss is a byproduct of just getting healthy and being the proper mindset. So, yeah, let's jump into the show.
Okay, sounds good.
Hey, Angelica, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I am awesome. How are you guys?
Welcome, Angelica. Thanks for stopping by.
Yes.
Excited to have you today.
Yes, I'm excited to be here. And I think we have a lot of commonalities on what we
teach.
So I'm excited.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Definitely. Yes. And you have a lot of different dynamics to your approach to weight loss. So just give us a little bit about your journey and how you really got into this area of expertise and a little bit about your story.
Sure. So about 13 years ago, and basically my whole life, I was overweight. So 13 years ago, I hired my first coach and he helped me lose 35 pounds. And I was doing medical sales at the time, living in New York, really grinding myself, hustling really hard, doing well in my business, but not taking care of my health or body at all. And I just finally got to a point where I just felt disgusted and fed up. And what I was doing on my own wasn't working, which is probably similar to what a lot of people listening do, trying all the diets, all the silly fat diets, doing endless amounts of cardio and wondering why I still look exactly the same. So there comes a point in your life where you just got to ask for help. And that's what I did. And so I hired my first coach and he really opened up my eyes and changed my life. And I lost that weight. And something in me was like, this is what you're meant to do. I just get like very intuitive gut hits. And I just quit my medical sales job. I got certified in nutrition and fitness while I was doing the medical sales. And then I just decided to transition fully, got another intuitive hit to move from New York to California because California really is, in my opinion, the mecca of health and fitness and wellness. Just moved from New York to Cali. Went to Equinox Gym, and I'm sure some of your listeners, Equinox gyms are really big in New York.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I went in, I'm like, I have no experience working in a gym, but I know that this is my passion. And I just like laid it on the line and got hired there. I worked my way up in the gym and then felt really unfulfilled with just, being a personal trainer is you don't get to utilize as much nutrition information. So I felt really unfulfilled with that and with kind of barking orders at people. So I decided to branch out. It's just like, do more push-ups, squat more.
Right.
It gets old after a while. It kind of like, it was fun. And then I was like, this is very unfulfilling. So I decided to branch off. I read the book, You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero, which
I love that book.
Oh my gosh. I read it like 40 times. And it just like woke me up. I was like, I do not have to stay at a gym making $50,000 a year, even though like I love my clients. Like there's more to life. There's more money to make. There's more people to help. Like, why am I limiting myself? And it just kicked me in the ass. And can I say ass? Sorry.
Yes.
It just woke me up, and I branched out to do nutrition and fitness consulting in person. Did that for a while, felt unfulfilled again, and entered the online world. Very new, when online coaching really wasn't a huge thing, in my opinion. I didn't even really know what a coach was, like an online coach. And started my Fit for Life program. And now I help women all over the world. So I went from, everything in person to transitioning to online. That was hard for me. But now I like online better because I can reach so many more people in so many different ways. And it's very, very fulfilling.
That's really incredible. So I saw your before and after picture, and it's amazing how much weight you lost. I don't know how many pounds, but you look amazing right now.
It was 35 pounds. Thank you for saying that. Some people look and they're like, well, you looked great before. And I'm like, I appreciate you saying that, but it's how I felt. You could have 5 pounds to lose or 50 pounds to lose. If you don't feel good in your own skin, it doesn't matter what the number on the scale is,
So agree with you. You mentioned something about most people are doing all these diets in the world, and most women in particular have tried almost all of them. But off air, we talked about calories in, calories out. Is that pretty much, do you think, part of the problem?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And I know, there's some big name coaches in the industry who still, I see on their Instagrams, they're like, weight loss is easy. Calories in, calories out, move your body. And I'm like, if it was that easy, I wouldn't have a business, okay? Because I have women coming to me who are eating less than 1,000 calories a day, 1,000 calories, 1,100 calories, moving their bodies, but not seeing a change. And my true belief is, with the history of chronic dieting, the impact it has on their gut, on their metabolism, on their mindset, puts their bodies into such a state, high state of fight or flight mode. Cortisol is through the roof. There's inflammation. There's adrenal fatigue. There's so many things, autoimmune disorders that come up when you are malnourished. So calories in, calories out is really an old paradigm of weight loss. And I think it can work for a short time. Of course, if you have a wedding or an event or you're a fitness competitor, you're going to drop, you're going to drop your calories a lot, right? And you're going to get more lean, but it's only going to work for a short period of time before your body realizes, hey, your body craves homeostasis. It doesn't like that. So that's why so many women out there, I believe, and I think you agree, that chronic dieting, just that calories in, calories out, move your body more. It's really just a short-term fix. It's not going to lead to permanent fat loss and permanent weight loss. Yes.
And if it's long-term, then what happens to the body. It's a deficit for a long period of time, which some women do, just wrecks the metabolism.
Yeah, and the hormones, for sure. I'm convinced that, I don't have hypothyroid anymore. I worked with a functional medicine doctor, and years ago when I got it, I was thinking about what brought this on, because now I'm fine. But I think what brought it on was the extreme stress I put my body through, working really hard in medical sales, and then under eating and pushing myself in workouts that made no sense for my body, and not resting and thinking I need to do 2 a days. It's not healthy.
Yeah. And, thyroid health is dependent upon nutrients. And if you were getting less nutrition, food intake, you're not getting the right amount of nutrients or sufficient. Yeah.
Yeah. So then a lot of women come. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. I'll jump in to this.
I was going to say, a lot of women come to me too with extremely poor gut health. And they say to me a lot of times, well, I don't really get it because I'm eating well. I don't understand. And I'm like, well, let's talk about your dieting history and the level of stress you put yourself under, and how do you talk to yourself, and what's your mindset? Because you can be eating really well, but you can still have IBS and inflammation and leaky gut and candida from the level of stress in your body. So that's something too that people just don't pay attention to when they just say calories in, calories out. Our bodies are more complicated than a math equation. Let's be real.
I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you put in that to bed because that's like such a frustrating thing to kind of explain every time that that's just not how it works. And it just doesn't make sense that people still to this day with all the information out there still kind of lean on that. But anyway, that's a rant. But
Yeah.
one of the
I know we can go on forever on that topic.
exactly. So one of the things that you had a coach, you obviously had your background and you studied nutrition and diet and exercise a lot. What was the thing that you thought was that popped out that you were like, wow, if every anyone can get this besides the calorie in, calorie out nonsense. What was that thing that you think that really put you over the edge and on the journey to getting to where you are today?
From a business standpoint or from
just a health, sure.
For me, like going deeper than the calories in, calories out was getting away from a lot of the, like we said, old paradigms, like focusing just on the numbers, on the macros, on the scale, and really more focusing on mindset and gut health. Because when I saw my gut health improve and when I saw how much better I felt and my relationship with self improved and my relationship with food improved, that really put me on this eternal journey. I feel like I'll be on it forever with myself and with my clients in health. It's just so much deeper than the weight loss. And I really believe that most women who have tried and failed on many weight loss programs out there really have failed to realize that the way we think affect our body's ability to lose weight and affect our body's ability to heal. Trauma and anything that's happened in your life that affects your gut, that affects your weight. So things like that. Yeah.
So you help women lose weight, improve their gut health, and just pretty much balance their lives with everything that you do. How I'm just thinking, I'm trying to figure out which question to ask you first because I have two. What would you say are the top 3 reasons? I know there are more, but would you say that women can't lose weight?
Poor gut health. Lack of attention to mindset, kind of like I just mentioned, like not realizing that really our issues live in our tissues. So if we have negative thought patterns and we're living in fear, lack, disbelief in ourselves, stress, worry, anxiety, that really does affect our body's ability to release weight. So there's that whole metaphysical side. And the third one I would say is, they're on the restrictive yo-yo diet train. They think that every new diet's going to work. Susie down the street tried keto, so they do keto. Keto works for a short time. And then, they do keto and then they're like, okay, well now I really want to eat carbs and then they binge. So I think they're just really stuck in that kind of perpetual diet cycle. I would say those 3 things amongst a million other ones, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it really does sabotage their efforts, Mm-hmm. But your program absolutely has had a lot of success and helps stop that train.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't even like to call my program a weight loss program. I like to it's called Fit for Life. And it means not just physically fit, but mentally and emotionally fit as well. And, when people are like, oh, it's a weight loss program. Yes, you're going to lose weight as a byproduct of what you learn in the program. But we really dive deep into our clients' mindset because like I said, if you have a poor relationship with yourself, a poor relationship with food, your emotional eating, you're very negative, you're obsessing over the scale, all these things affect your body's ability to lose weight.
It's amazing. Yeah. And, and that's Omar and I, that's our philosophy here is that, that's why we are a health show essentially, because we know that optimizing health will result in fat loss.
Right. Exactly. It's about the health, not just about losing the weight or the number on the scale.
Right.
Yes.
So, Angelica, I'd love for you to dive a little bit more into the metaphysical stuff because, again, I don't think we've had anyone go in as deep as you're able to go in with it. And what is like that relationship with your thoughts and specifically your gut health? Because those are the 2 things that I know that you focus on a lot.
Yeah. So it's not one of those things that people overtly think like, well, how do our thoughts affect our gut health? A lot of times when we think about gut health, we think about like, well, what's our nutrition intake, right? Like, what am I eating? What inflammatory foods am I ingesting? How's my rest? But we really do need to think about too, from the metaphysical standpoint, that our body is an energetic, like we're energetic beings, right? So if we hold our issues in our tissues, and our thoughts are energy, so thoughts like fear, lack, disbelief, things I said before, these thoughts have power. And if we're living in these kind of lack, worrisome, negative thoughts, that means that there's a stagnant energy in our body. And that energy is meant to ebb and flow. But if we're stuck in these really, like negative thought patterns, and patterns that we've been for 20 years, like if you've thought away since you're in your 20s and you're 40 and you're trying to lose weight, you've had that same recurring thought pattern. So think about that same recurring thought pattern. That energy is stuck in your body, and that energy is meant to move, but it's stagnant. So when we start to change our thought patterns, it then starts to shift energy, which essentially is helping the weight loss process. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's hard to tangibly explain sometimes, but that's the best way I can explain it.
I guess, yeah, no, I understand. I'm a big fan of that. One of the things that I wanted to see if you can just expand on a little bit, because it is like one of the things I remember saying that you shouldn't always say that you're losing weight. You should, but it's supposed to say you're releasing weight, because if you lose it, you can find it back. So, those are concepts that I think that we play verbal gymnastics with, and that it has an effect on our weight for sure.
Yeah, I do believe that our thoughts have power. I mean, I believe in law of attraction and manifestation, and the words you speak actually become your reality. So if we can say, okay, let's just say I desire to be a millionaire, right? And we can speak those things into reality. It's the same thing with your body, right? I mean, it's quantum physics. Essentially, we use manifestation and law of attraction and things of that nature for things outside of our body, but it can be applied to our weight release journey as well. We just don't always think of it that way. So if you can start to visualize yourself in a higher timeline, feeling better in your skin, what will it look like? What will it feel like? You'll start to tell the universe that this is your energetic match. But it's a very foreign concept to a lot of people. They've heard of manifestation, but not with their body, or not they know the concepts, but not really relating it to weight loss. And I believe it can work, or it can go beyond just like, oh, I want to manifest money or manifest my dream partner. You can start to manifest your dream body and shift those energetic thoughts, which essentially helps release weight. It's not like you snap your fingers and it happened. Once again, it's something that needs to be worked on day after day after day to get the energy moving and to connect to your higher self and whatever being you believe in.
So somebody who has poor body image, what would you say to them?
I don't necessarily believe in affirmations.
Mm-hmm.
What I would say to them as a coach is I would go back to them as a child, and I would wonder where it came from. And I would really start from, it's like reverse engineering, right? Because I think a lot of people want to put a Band-Aid. I feel like a lot of times it's like, oh, if you're feeling crappy, like do these affirmations. And their affirmations can work, but I really think we have to go deeper and deeper, like peel back the layers like it's an onion. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I know for me, a wound that I still deal with is, when I was a kid, I was overweight. I had acne. I felt left out a lot of times because I was heavier, chubby, didn't feel like I fit in, didn't fat in, didn't feel like
That's
I
funny.
fit in because I was fat, literally. So I got like acne when I was in 6th grade. So that is a wound that will sometimes still show up for me, like in masterminds that I'm in. I'll feel like, am I being seen? Am I being heard? And so that's a wound that I need to heal. And it's the same thing on someone's weight loss journey. Like, what are those wounds and what are those patterns that are kind of sticking with you? And we need to start to work from there. Not just like, oh, I am beautiful and I'm thin. Like that affirmation is not going to resonate if you don't.
No. Yeah. Because subconsciously it's like, you're like, no, you don't feel that way. Yeah.
You don't feel that way. Exactly. And I think with affirmations, if you're going to do them, you need to have ones that you can at least relate to, right? Like they need to be relatable, or else they're never going to work for you. You can change them as you transform. But really, I would say to that person who has a poor self-image, and I know, again, I would relate to them, but it's really going back to where does this come from and why do you feel that way? And just digging deeper and taking a look at too. The sad thing is with releasing weight or weight loss journeys is a lot of women don't even believe that they can achieve what they truly desire. So if you are approaching a weight loss journey and you don't believe that you'll ever really achieve that, are you going to achieve it? If you start a business and you don't think you're going to be successful at what you do, are you going to be successful? Our thoughts dictate our reality.
No, absolutely. So this is fascinating because, we could dive into this. I love this topic, big time. So as a coach, how do you what was your first step when someone comes and they specifically want weight loss? Do you tackle the mind first? You tackle the bodies? Or is there something that you just look at symptomatically that they're not addressing and deal with there? I'm just curious about what your first step is.
Oh, yeah. It depends on the person, first off. And I would say the old Angelica approached it very much from a body state. Like, here are your workouts, follow these workouts, get these steps in, hit these macros, don't eat these inflammatory foods, and you lose weight. That was me, like way back in the day. Then as I started to research more and change and become more spiritual and dive deeper into like Joe Dispenza, Bob Proctor, Law of Attraction, Gabby Bernstein, I got really into all that. I started to see, well, there's more to weight loss than just like the physical, right? So when someone comes to me, of course, I address the normal things we address as health coaches. How's your stress? How's your sleep? What's your dieting history? Do you have any blood work we could look at? All those kind of basic questions. And then it gets deeper into the mindset. So like I said, everyone is different. But for instance, we use someone with who views themselves as always being the fat kid growing up, right? Are they still seeing themselves as this person as they're an adult, and they're wanting to shift their identity? Because as you lose weight, you become a different person and your identity needs to shift. But what happens is I notice some clients are still living in the old identity of who they used to be. So it's then working on shifting their identity. So I think that every person is different, but me and my coaches all dive into mindset with each client. And that's an individualistic conversation based on their history and where they're at, what they had happened during their childhood. And then of course, from a gut health standpoint, we take a look at their nutrition. We have them log their food in MyFitnessPal. We look at everything in detail. Then we have our own formula for macronutrients, for our macronutrient breakdown and caloric breakdown. Some clients are triggered by doing macros, so they don't do macros. We do intuitive eating with them. Everyone is treated very individualistically because we all are different in what our needs are. So I hope that kind of answered the question. I know it's a little off, but
no,
yeah, we treat everyone very individualized.
We would rather it be that way, that, it's not a cookie cutter process. So we appreciate that.
Yeah, it's definitely not. So sometimes when I'm writing my content for social media, it's almost hard for me to put into words exactly what we do, because I can give you the gist, right? I could say, yeah, we focus on gut health and emotional eating and this, but it doesn't even it's so much deeper than that. It's hard to really put all into words.
Speaking of gut health,
yes.
So how, you've been talking about that and weight loss, and how does a chronic undereating and stress affect our gut?
Yeah. So with the lack of, like you mentioned earlier, how, being malnourished affects your thyroid, being malnourished also affects your gut, right? Because your gut microbiome craves those healthy nutrients. So if you're consistently under eating, even if you're eating well, right? I'll be honest, I'll use myself as an example. I got leaky gut 4 or 5 years ago. That's how I got so into gut health. And I said to my doctor, I don't understand. I eat really well. I work out. I do yoga. He's like, well, do you meditate? I'm like, nope. He's like, well, you're really, really stressed. You work really hard. You started this business. And also he's like, you eat well, but you don't eat enough at all. So that lack of nutrients was really affecting my gut. And what happens over time, the lack of nutrients with the combination of high stress affects our gut lining. So what happens over time is the permeability of our gut lining. It gets thinner and thinner and thinner the more toxins we let in, or if you're a highly stressed person, that changes the permeability of it too. So the toxins, the stress, the lack of proper nutrients, so lack of rest as well. So what happened over time is my lining got thinner and thinner and thinner. Therefore, toxins were coming in. And these toxins weren't necessary from eating inflammatory foods because I eat really well. It was from the lack of proper nutrients, not getting enough fiber. Fiber comes from greens, and it's good to include onions, leeks, sauerkraut, MCT. There's so many things that we can include in our diet. And yeah, I would do a little, but I just wasn't eating enough. And then being under high stress, my gut lining just got thinner and thinner and thinner. Toxins enter. And then what happens? And, you get things like candida and leaky gut. You get bacteria, the bad bacteria overgrows and the good bacteria starts to diminish. And that's where these symptoms come in. And some of the symptoms you'll know if your gut is off. There's the obvious. There's like gas and bloating and headaches and acid reflux. But then there's other ones that people don't even think about. Brain fog, lack of clarity, anxiety, depression, fatigue, poor sleep, eczema, skin irritations. That's all related to your gut health.
Mm. And I'm glad that you brought those up. And you did run across a little bit of the foods that we should be eating, but can you just go into a little deeper as far as what foods we should focus on when it comes to actually healing the gut?
Yeah. So some things that I'd like my clients to incorporate are garlic and onions and leeks are really great antibacterial. So they're really going to help rid your body of the bad bacteria that's in there. Salmon, which is really high in omega-3s, and then honestly, tons of veggies. People underestimate the power of eating veggies and leafy greens, but vegetables have a ton of fiber. When fiber gets entered into your body, into your gut, it turns into short-chain fatty acids. Short-chain fatty acids are the direct thing that feed the good gut bacteria, and that's what you want. You want the good gut bacteria, the healthy gut bacteria to flourish. So making sure that you're incorporating tons of leafy greens, and then there's other things you can incorporate. Oh my God, I can't talk today, guys. Incorporate ginger, turmeric, milk thistle, MCT oil, coconut oil are great as well for help sealing.
Except with a MCT, you have to be careful at first.
You do, yes. You start with a teaspoon.
Right.
Yes, it can exacerbate you going to the bathroom. But yeah,
right.
Sauerkraut is also really great. I don't really like it. But yeah, so there's those foods you can incorporate, and then also mitigating your stress. Once again, it's not just about what you eat; it's about your level of stress. Just like we have over 100, I think it's over 80,000, or is it 180,000 thoughts a day? And if we think about how many of those thoughts are actually very stressful, it's probably the majority of them. And that affects our gut health. So like I said, you can be eating all the right things and making sure that you're doing proper movement as well. But if you're highly stressed and if you're not getting rest, your gut is still going to be in bad shape. So that's why you have to hit it from both angles. You have to hit it from the physical, which is obvious, like we just talked about, the foods, what foods to incorporate, what foods to eliminate. Handling your stress comes in with the metaphysical. Right. Calming your system down, tapping more into the parasympathetic, getting out of that fight or flight.
That's fantastic, Angelica. Yeah. Could you give us, so if somebody comes to you they're just desperate, they've done all the diets, everything, what would be your main steps to revitalize their metabolism and finally enjoy healthy weight loss, sustainable weight loss?
For someone who is in that type of state, we do have a functional medicine doctor on staff. First things first, I would take a look at their nutrition, and then I would recommend that they get gut health and hormonal testing with our functional medicine doctor. Because once again, I don't just want to slap a Band-Aid on something. I don't want to be like, here's this meal plan for you, because I can give someone a meal plan, but what if they're actually food sensitive to avocado? I mean, I was eating really well as well, like I said, but I did a food sensitivity test and found out I was allergic or food sensitive to egg yolks, avocado, and almonds, something that was
not
right. Something that those are quote unquote healthy.
Yeah.
But if they don't agree with your system at that time, then it's good to eliminate that stuff. So I would want to make sure that this person wasn't eating anything that was adding an extra layer of inflammation, and that I would really take a look at their lifestyle. Like, what type of workouts are they doing? When are they getting rest? How is their sleep? Are they meditating? How do they talk to themselves? Kind of like we talked about before, but I would definitely want to get the hormone test, the blood work, the gut health testing, and then we would put them on a gut health protocol, which doesn't always mean supplements, guys. I just want to say, I think people think, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to go on all these supplements. Of course, supplements can help, but first I just want to take a look at how you're eating. What's your nutrition and lifestyle before we even jump to supplements, because supplements can come in and be a Band-Aid. And sometimes they can had women come to me who are taking all these gut health supplements and they were actually making them feel worse and more bloated. So you got to be careful with that stuff too.
Yeah, no, you had touched on a couple of things, and maybe I could do a combo question. I know that you have someone on staff who does that kind of testing. Like, what kind of testing do they actually do? Is this something besides a functional medicine doctor, like who they may have? We have a primary physician who we can request some of these tests. Is there any that you recommend? And then I also wanted to jump into any recommended supplements.
Yeah, so the functional medicine is a little different because, in my opinion, she's not just going to prescribe a medicine, or she's not just going to prescribe nutraceuticals. She's really going to take a look at the whole picture. So as far as the testing, there's blood work, and then there's a stool test. And stool tests are actually the most accurate for taking a look at your gut health what type of bacteria do you have in there? So she is well versed in all the different kinds of bacteria. So, I mean, there's a billions of bacteria in our gut, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes when people go to buy a probiotic, it might not even be the right probiotic for their gut. So she's going to take a look at what's going on in the gut, because when you do a stool sample, that is the most accurate. It's going to reveal everything. I mean, they're not fun to do, but you do them here and there. Send the stool sample in, and then also from the stool sample, you can then test. I don't know how, I'm not a scientist, so I don't know how they're able to do this, but from the stool sample, it's called GI mapping. They're able to test what foods you're sensitive to. There are other tests out there that test for food sensitivity through blood, but from my own knowledge and from working with various functional medicine doctors, stool samples are the most accurate.
Okay, great. So as far as the supplements that you've seen that have improvement on gut health, obviously besides the probiotics, any more that you would recommend? Just topically, I know it's for an individual after they go through these tests, but just curious to see of what was possibly out there that we may not be aware of.
I think rather than giving supplements, I think it's the underrated nutrients that I listed before. So I think MCT oil, onions, eating raw onions and raw garlic. I think hitting your gut with those nutrients first before jumping to some supplements, because I mean, I can list off some that I take, but I don't want to gear your audience in the wrong direction, because there's literally so many supplements. I mean, there's glutamine, glucosamine, there's NAC, there's so many out there. And it really depends on how much damage you have in your gut and how poor your gut health is. And if someone didn't want to get a gut health test, then I would really base off of how they felt in their symptoms. And I would approach with nutrition first for a month. And if there was no signs of improvement, then I would put them on a supplement protocol.
Gotcha. Yeah. And I guess to wrap, because you kind of alluded to the fact that this is obviously not an overnight process and it takes time and there's a lot of observation and such. How long do you think that one, and again, I know the answer, but is it an average of when people can expect to actually see some results?
Your whole life. No, I'm just kidding. I'm always really honest when clients come to me, whether that be with weight loss or gut health. And I would say minimum of 3 months, honestly. You can't transform your body in 3 months, and you can't entirely improve your gut health in 3 months, but you can definitely start to see changes. But from a gut health perspective, on our protocol and in our program, I see women. I mean, I don't know if you guys follow me on Instagram. I posted a woman 4 weeks in, and her gut looked completely different. So you can start to see a difference in the bloating and in your skin within a few weeks. But are you fully healed? Definitely not. That's why I say minimum, 3 months to start to feel the full benefits. But we have clients in a few weeks, they're less bloated, their skin is glowier, their hair is shinier, they have more energy. So that can happen if you do follow protocol.
That's great.
Yeah.
So, Angelica, you've been fantastic. Yes. We really appreciate you coming on the show today. So can you give us your social media handles on Instagram and, of course, your website and how to keep up with what you're doing?
Awesome. Yeah, this was a great conversation, guys. I feel like we could talk for hours.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Without doubt. Anyone can send me a message on Instagram. It's at the Angelica Ventrice. So just my name with the letter the. Oh my God, the word the in front. And if I could talk today, this would be amazing. And then as far as an offer for your audience, I will send you guys a link. I have a 4-day workshop. And if they just enter the code podcast, they'll get it for $1. And then if they find me on Instagram, they'll stay up to date with any upcoming programs or workshops I have that are live as well.
Awesome.
That's
I really
fantastic.
Appreciate that.
Yes. Thanks you, Angelica.
Yes.
You were wonderful.
Thank you. Have a beautiful day.
You too.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of This Podcast Burns Fat. We're so excited to have you as a listener, and we're hoping that you really enjoyed the content as well. And if you did, please run over to iTunes and provide a rating and or review. It will go a long way in helping us continuously build our listenership up so that we can provide you with the excellent content regarding fat loss, weight management, and just an overall healthy lifestyle. Thanks so much. Have a great night.